The late evening sky was painted in shades of deep orange and fading purple as Su Kai's plane touched down. He sat quietly in his seat, his cap pulled low, his mask still on, and yet nothing could disguise the storm in his chest. For days, his body had been far away on set, but his heart never left home. Every moment on that trip felt like a countdown, a ticking clock pulling him closer to this night. The night he would return to his wife Tan Songyun and their 3-week-old baby. It had only been a matter of days, but to Su Kai, it felt like years. The image of his child's tiny hand clutching his finger haunted him during sleepless hotel nights. The sound of Tan Songyun's soft voice whispering, "We'll be waiting," replayed in his head whenever the cameras stopped rolling. Work demanded his presence, but love demanded his soul, and tonight, his soul was finally going home. The drive back, the black car slid through the quiet streets of the city. Su Kai stared out of the window, watching the lights blur into streaks of gold. His manager spoke now and then, reminding him about upcoming meetings, schedules, and commitments, but Su Kai's responses were little more than nods. His thoughts were elsewhere, almost home, he muttered under his breath, gripping his phone tightly. On the screen was the photo that carried him through the lonely days of his trip, his baby wrapped in a pale blue blanket, eyes closed in deep sleep, innocence glowing from every feature. His heart throbbed with longing. He missed the nursery's soft golden glow, the scent of baby powder, the quiet lullabies Tan Songyun hummed in the stillness of night. Most of all, he missed the feeling of belonging, the knowledge that he wasn't just Su Kai, the actor, but Su Kai, the husband, the father. As the car approached the gates of his home, his hands trembled. He didn't know whether to run inside, to collapse in tears, or simply to stand in silence and take it all in. One thing was certain. His life was waiting just beyond that door. Songyun's vigil inside the house. Tan Songyun sat in the nursery, rocking gently in the chair beside the crib. Her eyes were heavy with exhaustion, but her heart was alive with anticipation. Every minute of his absence had been a test. Endless nights alone, soothing a crying baby, holding on to strength she didn't know she had. She hadn't told Su Kai how hard it was. She didn't want him to feel guilty. But in the quiet moments, when the baby finally slept, she would whisper to herself, "Come back to us, we're waiting." She looked down at the baby, now 3 weeks old, asleep in the crib. His tiny chest rose and fell in rhythm, a picture of peace that only deepened her longing for Su Kai to see how much their child had grown. The baby's face had changed even in the short days he was gone. Fuller cheeks, stronger cries, brighter eyes. Songyun imagined the tears that would fall when Su Kai noticed a sudden sound broke her thoughts, the creak of the gate outside. Her heart leapt. She stood, her breath caught at her chest. As the familiar footsteps echoed closer, the reunion, the front door opened with a hesitant push, as if Su Kai himself couldn't believe he was finally home. He stepped inside, the weight of days apart falling from his shoulders. The moment he inhaled the familiar air of his home, Songyun, his voice was hoarse. Trembling, she appeared in the hallway, her hair tied back, her eyes wide and shimmering with tears she could no longer hold back. For a moment, neither moved. The world seemed to pause, giving them space to simply see each other, and then, as if pulled by an invisible force, they closed the distance. Su Kai dropped his bag carelessly to the floor and wrapped his arms around her. Songyun buried her face in his chest, sobbing softly. The days of strength she had tried to hold shattering in an instant. "You're home," she whispered. "I'm home," Su Kai replied, his voice breaking. "I missed you. I missed both of you." Meeting his baby again hand in hand, Songyun led him into the nursery. The familiar golden glow of the night lamp illuminated the crib, where their baby stirred softly. Su Kai froze, his breath catching. For a second, he couldn't move, afraid that if he blinked, this would all disappear. Slowly, he stepped forward. His tall frame cast a shadow over the crib, just as it had on the night he left. Only now, his trembling wasn't from the pain of goodbye, but from the overwhelming joy of reunion. The baby stirred again, eyelids fluttering before opening halfway. A soft coo escaped, a sound that hit Su Kai like a thunderclap to the heart. "Hey, it's Daddy," Su Kai whispered, his voice unsteady. He reached into the crib and lifted the tiny body into his arms. The baby blinked up at him, and Su Kai's tears spilled freely. "He's grown," Su Kai choked out, Looking at Songyun, I told you, she said softly, her own tears flowing every day. He changes just a little. Su Kai pressed his lips to the baby's forehead, his tears mixing with the warmth of the child's skin. I'm here now. Daddy's here. The weight of distance. Later that night, after the baby had drifted back to sleep, Su Kai and Tan Songyun sat together in the living room. Neither cared about the late hour. Su Kai held her hand, afraid to let go even for a second. I thought about you both every moment, he confessed, even when the cameras were on me, even when people were talking. I wasn't really there. I was here. I was with you. Songyun squeezed his hand gently. I know. I could feel it, he sighed, guilt shadowing his features. Leaving was the hardest thing I've ever done. I kept wondering if I made the wrong choice, if I should have fought harder to stay. You're doing this for us, she reassured him, and no matter what, you came back. That's what matters. Her words settled deep in his heart. He realized then that love wasn't just about presence, it was about promises kept, even across distance. A father's tears. As dawn approached, Su Kai found himself back in the nursery, standing over the crib. He watched his baby sleep, memorizing every detail, the curl of tiny fingers, the rise and fall of the chest, the faint sound of breath. He thought back to the airport, to the heavy steps he took onto the plane, to the photo he whispered to. And now here he was, touching the reality he had longed for. A tear slipped down his cheek, followed by another. He didn't wipe them away. For once, he allowed himself to cry freely, tears of exhaustion, of relief, of overwhelming love. Songyun appeared in the doorway, watching silently. She didn't interrupt. She knew these tears were not just his, but theirs. The release of days apart, the relief of reunion, the promise of a family that no distance could break, the promise of tomorrow. When morning light filled the room, Su Kai sat with his baby in his arms, Tan Songyun beside him. For the first time in days, peace settled over him. I don't care how far I have to go, Su Kai said quietly, looking at his child. I'll always come back. Always. Songyun leaned her head on his shoulder, smiling through her tears. We'll always be waiting. In that moment, the fame, the cameras, the schedules, all of it faded into the background. What remained was simple, raw, and eternal. Su Kai wasn't just returning from a trip. He was returning to his purpose, his home, his family. And no matter what challenges lay ahead, this reunion had sealed one truth in his heart: he would never again take a single moment with them for granted.